Welcome back to my latest slide-in truck camper build update. As I mentioned last week, I have decided to fabricate my own jacks and try and save a little bit of money. I decided to go with 4 trailer tongue jacks. Uh, so here I'm just wiring up the first one to test it. Unfortunately, they didn't all arrive in the best condition. This one was cracked. This other one was ripped out because if you look on top, it got crushed down. And it became a question of, well, do I send them back? I'm not even sure I'm going to use the plastic enclosures. I may modify that because I don't know that I really need the lights. I'm certainly not going to use the switches the way they are because I'm going to have a remote control. As you can see here, they're not going to win any prizes for speed as they raise slowly, but they're easily, capacity wise, they should easily be able to handle my camper. Even one should be able to handle the weight of my camper. But I got them bigger because with the side loads and everything involved, I'd rather have some overhead. Plus, a lot of things you buy aren't really as capable as they're spec'd out to be. And as slow as this is, I'm not really sure how it compares to an actual purpose-built truck jack, or or camper jack. But I'm sure that with 4 of them puttering away the electric motor, it's going to go a lot faster than me running around trying to do it manually or even with a drill. So I got them all together, or I should say I pulled them all out of the boxes, tested the range as I'm doing here just to see how far does it go. I was disappointed to see that they don't have limit switches at the top or the bottom. I don't know that overrunning will damage anything if it doesn't happen very often, and if you catch it pretty quickly, still not something I want to do. But at the same time, because of the way I'm going to build it and just the way these are built, I don't know that I'm going to go to the trouble of putting my own limit switches in there, but maybe that's something we'll have to see. So I unboxed them all, both so that I could test all of them, and then I got measurements based on the actual ranges so that I would know how to size the other parts of the legs. They all did work, aside from the damage that I showed in those early pictures. They sure move a lot faster in the time lapse, but anyway, I think that these are going to work for my purposes. The drop foot is about 6 inches, and I think I'll design it so that the bottom of the leg will actually be about 6, when fully retracted I should say, is about 6 inches off of the ground. So I won't be able to drive my camper with the legs on, maneuvered in the driveway maybe, but I don't have any intention of trying to drive down the road with those on, because I just won't have a lot of clearance, and they'll probably stick out too far anyway. So here I'm cutting the angle iron that I've decided to use on the outside corner edges of the camper itself, and that will give me something solid to mount to. On the inside there will be the 2x4 that's inside the plywood on the corners, and then this on the outside, and I'm going to weld tabs onto it to mount the legs to. When it comes to fabricating in steel, I was a few years ago looking for a saw, and I planned to get it just a cut-off wheel type saw, and my brother pointed me to this carbide tooth saw. I have a blade on it that's supposed to go or supposed to work for wood, metal, or plastic. And as you've seen, I've been using it quite a bit for my wood cutting, and this is kind of the first first try with metals using my own saw, and I am a real fan of these. They give you a really good edge. They don't heat up the steel as much as like a grinding wheel type saw does, and just a real fan. So next this week was to get my welder set up. As you can see, I didn't have my grinding wheel installed. I didn't have power really in this corner even to run the grinder or lights or anything, and so I had to pull that down from above. This garage only has, I think, 3 wall outlets and then 2 on the garage door openers, and since I'm renting, I'm not going to fix the power problem. I just have to kind of work at it where it is. But anyway, had to get through that, and then as I got to setting up my welder, I'm not I'm certainly not an expert. I'm an amateur welder, probably leaning towards the beginner side of things. I prefer TIG just for some of the projects that I'm planning to do soon. I need TIG is the best option, even though it's not really necessary for what I'm doing here. But since I don't weld often enough, whenever I get the chance, I try to practice with TIG and work on my skills with that. Problem was, when I unpacked everything here this week, I realized I couldn't find, I'm missing a box or something from my last move that had most of my welding small pieces, the cups and the tungsten rods and all. I was able to, after tearing apart the whole garage and doing a major search, I found one tungsten rod and that had initially gotten lost. But anyway, finally found enough to at least do some tests here. And then I ran into this issue where I couldn't get my auto darkening lens to get dark enough. And I have 2 auto darkening ones, and in the end I finally, since I couldn't get them, I don't know what the issue is, but I could not get it dark enough, and finally used the original non-auto darkening helmet that I had with my original flux core MIG welder. Anyway, I did get my first tab welded on at the bottom here. I'm going to have to doctor it up a little bit, but I ran out of time for this week. But I wouldn't say it's like riding a bike. It's starting to come back to me, but some porosity there and not the best weld. On the internal side, I also tried a little bit with a rod and then without. You can see not very great results there. But at least I kind of broke through that barrier, and I'll have to order some new tungsten rods, but at least I'm kind of past that minutia startup point of that, and I can hopefully fabricate my support weldments for next week, and hopefully I'll have the actual jacks in place by the end of the week. So that's my update for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next update.